2 airliners, a clear sky, and 128 lives vanished in an instant. It was a Saturday morning, June 30th, 1956. The sky above the Grand Canyon was a brilliant, cloudless blue. Below, 2 commercial airliners were on their way to Los Angeles. United Airlines Flight 718, a DC-7, departed from Los Angeles for Chicago. TWA Flight 2, a Super Constellation, was eastbound, also heading for Kansas City. Both were modern marvels, flying at cruising altitudes, carrying passengers eager for their destinations. But in the vast, seemingly empty expanse of that Arizona sky, a deadly, invisible dance was about to begin. This wasn't a storm, a mechanical failure, or an act of sabotage. This was something far more insidious, a collision born from a system unprepared for the dawn of commercial jet travel, a tragedy waiting to happen above one of the world's most iconic natural wonders. The year 1956 marked a pivotal moment in aviation. Air travel was booming, no longer just for the wealthy, but for the burgeoning middle class. New, faster planes were entering service, yet the infrastructure to manage this explosion in traffic lagged far behind. This was a critical blind spot, an unaddressed vulnerability that would soon manifest with devastating clarity. Both flights were operating under what was then known as Visual Flight Rules, or VFR. This meant pilots were primarily responsible for see and avoid visually spotting other aircraft and taking evasive action. It was a practice rooted in the early days of flight, designed for a sky far less crowded, a sky where planes were fewer and farther between. United Flight 718, captained by Robert Shirley, was cleared to fly at 21,000 feet. TWA Flight 2, under the command of Captain Jack Gandy, was cleared for 19,000 feet. Standard procedure, simple enough. But here's where the problem began. Air traffic control at the time didn't track planes once they were outside designated airways, especially over vast, sparsely populated areas like the Grand Canyon. This meant that for long stretches, these airliners were essentially on their own, navigating through what was, in the eyes of the system, uncontrolled airspace. It was a free-for-all, albeit a regulated one, where pilots relied on their eyes and a gentleman's agreement of separation. The danger wasn't immediately apparent. After all, the sky was vast. Both captains, seeking to offer their passengers a better view of the Grand Canyon, requested permission to deviate from their assigned flight paths. This was a common, often encouraged practice. United requested a deviation to the north, TWA to the south. The controllers, seeing no immediate conflict on their rudimentary screens, granted both requests. But the controllers had no way of knowing the precise positions of the aircraft. Their radar coverage was limited, and once outside the controlled airways, they relied on pilots reporting their positions. In the pre-GPS era, this was often an estimate, a best guess. The sheer scale of the Grand Canyon itself also played a cruel trick on human perception. The vastness of the canyon, its incredible depth and width, could make a distant aircraft appear much smaller and further away than it actually was. Objects seen against the complex, variegated backdrop of the canyon walls also blended in, making them harder to spot. It was a visual illusion, an optical trap that could prove fatal. At approximately 10:31 a.m. local time, the 2 aircraft collided over the eastern end of the Grand Canyon, near a prominent feature known as Chewar Butte. The DC-7, traveling at around 300 miles per hour, struck the Super Constellation's vertical stabilizer. The impact was catastrophic, immediate, and utterly devastating. Both planes disintegrated almost instantly. Twisted metal, luggage, and human remains rained down into the unforgiving ravines of the canyon. The silence that followed must have been profound, a stark contrast to the thunderous roar of the engines and the shattering violence of the impact. All 128 souls aboard both flights perished. The first indication of trouble came when both aircraft failed to make their scheduled position reports. Initial searches were launched, but the sheer scale of the Grand Canyon made locating wreckage an immense challenge. It wasn't until a private pilot, Henry Hudgen, spotted a plume of smoke from his light plane that the horrific truth began to emerge. The wreckage was scattered across a vast, inaccessible area. Recovery efforts were incredibly difficult and dangerous. Mountaineers and experienced climbers were brought in, risking their own lives to reach the remote crash sites. The sheer scale of the disaster and the remote location made it a logistical nightmare. The investigation that followed was unprecedented in its scope and significance. There were no black boxes, as we know them today. Investigators had to piece together the narrative from scattered fragments of wreckage, eyewitness accounts, and the limited communication records available. It was a painstaking, grim process. The Civil Aeronautics Board, or CAB, concluded that the probable cause was the pilots' failure to see and avoid each other due to clouds and visibility restrictions, and other factors. This was a polite way of saying the system itself was fundamentally flawed. The see and avoid principle, while once sufficient, was now obsolete for a rapidly evolving aviation landscape. The Grand Canyon collision wasn't just another accident. It was a watershed moment. It exposed the critical deficiencies in air traffic control and the urgent need for comprehensive reforms. The public outcry was immense. People had lost faith in the safety of air travel, and something had to change dramatically. Within 2 years, the Federal Aviation Act of 1958 was passed, establishing the Federal Aviation Agency, later renamed the Federal Aviation Administration, or FAA. This new body was given unprecedented authority to regulate and manage all aspects of U.S. airspace, including the implementation of radar control for commercial flights. The concept of positive control was introduced, meaning every commercial flight would be under constant radar surveillance, even in what was once uncontrolled airspace. The sky was no longer a free-for-all. It was a managed, structured environment, with planes assigned specific altitudes and routes, rigorously monitored by ground controllers. This tragedy also led to accelerated development and deployment of transponders, devices that transmit an aircraft's identity and altitude to air traffic control radar screens. It was a crucial technological leap, providing controllers with far more precise information than ever before, eliminating the reliance on mere visual observation. The Grand Canyon collision, though horrific, became a catalyst for change that saved countless lives. It was the moment aviation truly entered the modern era of safety. The lessons learned from that clear blue sky, which became a graveyard, continue to underpin the air traffic control systems we rely on today. Today, the skies above the Grand Canyon are still breathtaking, but they are also meticulously managed. Pilots still offer scenic views, but within a framework of safety protocols that are a direct legacy of that fateful day in 1956. The price of that knowledge was steep, paid in the lives of 128 innocent people. The Grand Canyon collision serves as a powerful reminder that progress often emerges from tragedy. It's a testament to humanity's ability to learn, adapt, and build safer systems, even after profound loss. The very air we breathe during a flight today is a testament to those who perished. To explore another pivotal moment in aviation that reshaped safety protocols, click here.